Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance blog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
You're ugly. You're Powerrr approved. Alright.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Pop. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J Cal. This fine gentleman next to me would be Mr. DKM. DK, how are you today?
Well, I'm awake.
This is a good thing.
I hear rumors that it is.
If you're not awake, you're asleep.
True. I have no idea what day it is, but true.
Retirement's treating you well, I presume.
Well, I'm staying busy, which is good. But I haven't worked in an office in 2 weeks, and I have no idea what day it is half the time.
It's Thursday.
Well, I figured that when I was like, an hour and a half away, but like, oops.
So where were you? Where was the Mercer convoy before you realized what time it was?
North Dallas.
What was out there? Stockyards?
No, that's North Fort Worth.
Damn. One of these days I'll get it right.
Comedian.
Oh, okay. I just drove back in from Arizona, and boy, are my arms tired.
Flew back in from Arizona.
The joke is that I don't know it's a joke. That's the humor is that I mess up the punchline. I'm like Fozzie Bear, waka waka. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're like Fozzie, all right.
Not that Fozzie. Don't compare me to that man, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If we could get some Vovo money, that'd be great. Dodie pointing out that a lot of commercials on those episodes of Powerrr that you guys might or might not have watched yet. Again, it's not available internationally, but you can find ways to watch it. Every Tuesday we do the pre-party, and then following that, we're going to just have some lively debate in our Discord server. If you haven't already joined that Discord, I suggest doing so. So on Tuesday, after the episode of pre-party, you could join us to debate what's happening on Powerrr.
So, funny story.
Yeah, I like funny.
That's kind of funny. I wasn't thinking about commercials. So I turned on the show because I wanted to see what the production was like and the value. I was at least interested in the women's match and everything. And so I watched up to the start of the main event, which I had no interest in watching and didn't.
The ultimate match of death.
Yeah, right, sure. Anyway, and yet they're both still alive, aren't they? And so I, turned it off and didn't think anything of it. Now, I honestly don't remember any commercials. There may have been some, but I don't remember them. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's fantastic. I watched.
I'm not done yet.
Okay, sorry.
So then someone told me, I read a review of it, and they said that the Ultimate Match of Death switched to black and white without giving me a reason. And so I was trying to figure out what the reason was. So I tried I go back in. I try fast forwarding into the match until I can see that it's turned black and white. It's turned black and white. I push play. I get the same 4 commercials like 5 times in a row.
Was it Volvo?
Oh, that was one of them, yes, but there were others. I remember something with feet, but it was just like, and as soon as they would stop, as soon as it went through its thing, it started them up again. And Volvo was the only one that played like every time. The others, they would kind of rotate through, but it was like, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
So you got forced to watch an entire hour's worth of commercials because you fast forward through all of it. They're like, nope, you're going to get the commercials.
And then instead of starting the match where I pushed play so I could figure out what was going on, it took me all the way back to the beginning of that segment.
Oh.
And so, and look, don't watch CW, do not know if this is typical, any of that stuff. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I try fast forwarding again. And it starts the commercials again. And I say a few words that aren't meant for mixed company and close the app because I was watching it on my big TV, which I will give props on this. Watching it on my big TV, the production values were very nice. I mean, it looked slick.
Yeah.
So I will credit that. And then if we talk about the show tonight, we'll talk about some other things and that I thought were hit and miss and maybe could have been done better or maybe switched out some matches.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be honest with the way that the Powerrr was. Was it the perfect episode of pro wrestling? No, it wasn't. It was far from it. But was it okay? That's debatable. And that's something that DK and I could debate, and we might debate later. Now, honestly, tonight's episode was supposed to be with Joe Cazana from Joe Cazana Promotions. I'm not sure what happened, but obviously he hasn't joined us yet. Maybe he'll be joining us later this evening. I can't guarantee that. So if you guys want a refund for your ticket price, please return to where you purchased your tickets, and we'll gladly make sure that your refund is distributed to you. Otherwise, I think we're just going to talk a little bit about everything because there's a lot to
talk about.
There's a menagerie of topics to talk about. Of course, I do want to plug, even if he comes on here later or not, I do want to plug that, for my money, and I do watch a lot of the Joe Cazana Promotions on YouTube. Of course, their channel, you can find it very easily. Just look for Joe Cazana Promotions. But I do want to plug what they're doing tomorrow night in Kingsport, Tennessee, because I do believe in their product. I feel like this point in time, there is no better representation of what the National Wrestling Alliance is, more so than Joe Cazana Promotions. Down to the logo, they incorporated the old classic logo. And of course, this event that's happening tomorrow night features, the past, present, and future of the National Wrestling Alliance. I mean, you look at that poster, DK, and who are some of the names that are familiar to you right off the bat?
In general, and everything.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Dr. Tom Pritchard.
Sure. Who has a history with the NWA dating back?
Mims, Thrillbilly, the Country Gentleman, Plunkett, Alex Taylor, Elliott Russell and Simon, because of course that's longtime NWA fans. I remember when they were the World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was going. Like when you talk about the past and the present and the future of the NWA, I think it's fair to say that the Heatseekers at one point were a very dominant tag team for the NWA. They're prominently featured on the poster. You've got Jeremiah Plunkett, who at one point was the NWA Southwest Heavyweight Champion, once challenged for the 10 pounds of gold. speaking of the past of the NWA, and of course, Dr. Tom Pritchard, who had a historic career with the NWA. Then you look at a guy like Toby Farley, who his time with the NWA was through NWA NWA Innovation. It used to be NWA Mountain State, but then Innovative, I believe, is what they're called now. So like that's kind of like also part of that past of the NWA. And then of course you got the modern day NWA with Silas Mason.
You mean NWA Smoky Mountain?
What did I call it?
Mountain State.
Yes, I did. That's two different things entirely.
And what was funny was that in my mind, I knew that wasn't right, but I couldn't think of what was.
This show. And so when I look at this poster, like, and I'm not trying to overanalyze anything, but I look at that poster and it feels like the personification of the past, the present, the future of the NWA. And again, you look at a guy like AJ Cazana and Alex Taylor and Big Strong Mims. These are young men. Even Roxy in the back up there, she's still early, still young in her career, and these could be the future of the NWA at some point. So all I'm saying is that that's a very good looking poster. It's a deep roster. I think they're going to have a great show tomorrow night. I kind of wish I lived anywhere near Kingsport because I probably would be attending. I see we got a lot of our pals in the chat. I do want to acknowledge everyone real quick, and then we'll get to some talk about the what's going on in the world of wrestling. So first and foremost, I want to acknowledge my pals. Luthez is in the house. Jeremy from the Other Lines guys here. Doty's here. Noob is here. Matthew Underwood's here. James H. Jackson, the Jammin' Music Man's in the house. All you guys are much appreciated. Welcome for being here. I know we got a few people watching on X. We got a few people watching on YouTube. A few people watching on Twitch. Comment. We enjoy the conversation. We will read your comments on the screen. We'll even put them on, like this one, where Doty asks, "Is Joe Cazana a better booker than Billy?"
Maybe.
I mean, I guess it depends on who you ask. Doty, have you watched Joe Cazana Promotions? Have you enjoyed what they're doing there? I do. I like what I see with Joe Cazana Promotions.
It's very old school to me.
Yeah,
but modern enough.
100%. 100%.
So I think he's somebody that has treaded the line between old school Southern wrestling and the modern good independent.
Yeah, and that's the thing about when you talk about Joe Cazana Promotions, and Joe Cazana has been on here before, and we're still efforting. I think he'll be here joining us relatively soon. But Joe, not only is his family represented wrestling in that part of the world for quite some time, but Joe actually was a part of the NWA in the late 80s, early 90s, did some touring with the NWA and WCW, worked for Smoky Mountain. And the fact that he did wrestling the right way, if that makes sense. He's paid his dues. He knows what he's doing. And again, I really feel like their program has been pretty top notch. And again, I'll have that channel up here so that you guys can check it out, after the show. But I think Joe will be joining us here in just a minute.
So you keep saying.
Yeah. Stall. Yeah. So, and remember that the Joe Cazana Promotions joined the NWA roughly about 2 months ago, towards the end of 2023. It was at the event, How Coalfield Stole Christmas. And that full event is available on their on the YouTube page. And I'll have that link here in just a second. The other thing about what I can't stress this enough, Joe Cazana Promotions on YouTube is at 938 subscribers. At 1,000, they become monetized, which means that they get paid for the content that's posted on YouTube. If you guys haven't done so already, please subscribe to their channel because it does benefit them. It helps grow their talent. grows their opportunities. And yeah, I do. There's some more comments in the chat. Jeremy says Joe is far better than Billy. Mike says I'll be there at the Venue Net Pro Studios. I know the trainer and owner. Will try to and get decent picks. Nice. And Jammin Music Man says thank you guys for the birthday wishes last week. Of course, Jammin, you're part of the alliance. If you guys are in this chat right now, just understand you're part of the alliance. So I don't want to sleep on that. Noobs has a good question, and I'll let you answer first, Mr. DKM. Your thoughts on Camille possibly getting signed to AEW?
Well, it's interesting since there was all this talk that NXT was very interested in her, but apparently those negotiations went nowhere. So I don't know what the issue was, but the good, she'll probably make more money than she would have in NXT. The bad, AEW doesn't do a really good job with its women's division. It would probably be better to put her in ROH.
That might be where she ends up too.
And the ROH women's champion has been champion a long time. And so,
Athena.
Yeah. And, a lot of people were expecting her to drop the title when she got injured, and she didn't. So, you bring in a fresh person like Camille, kind of do what like Jim Crockett did with the Rock and Roll Express, maybe. Bring her in, put the title on her immediately. That could be good. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that that would be a good thing. And so, it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting. And so
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So, I mean, it's, look, I don't begrudge anybody going somewhere where they're more likely to get seen by more people. And there's a lot of crossover between ROH and AEW. So
when when AEW came to Inglewood, California at the Kia Forum, when they presented their pay-per-view and their Rampage / Collision tapings, they also did one Ring of Honor match, and that was a matchup featuring Athena and then her protege, her minion, Billy Starks, against Marina Sharif and the world's most dangerous woman, Ronda Rousey. So I don't think being on Ring of Honor is a bad thing at all. And as our friend James H. Jackson points out, she'll probably end up in ROH. They do 4 women's matches per show at least. So women thrive on Ring of Honor. And I'll say this, being at the AEW taping last night, they did tape Dynamite and Rampage, and the dark matches were filmed for Ring of Honor, and every match was a women's match. So I don't think there's any problem with the ROH being the home for the former one-time women's world champion. Whatever happens with Camille, I have a lot of faith that wherever she goes, she's going to excel. Everything that we used to criticize about Camille when she first started, I feel like has been addressed. She still might not be the Bryan Danielson of women's wrestling, but she doesn't have to be. She's big, she's strong, she's intimidating, she can cut a promo, and she knows how to wrestle. We've seen her steal matches time after time, and it wasn't just against Kenzie Page or Kylan King or Taya Valkyrie. Like, she had many good matches. I mean, I remember she had that hardcore match with Angelina Love, and that was actually pretty good. Do you remember that one or no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really ever remember Camille being in a match that I just didn't like. I mean, were there some that were better than others? Sure. Was she normally the show stealer? on the pay-per-view cards? Yes. Was she once a show stealer 2 nights in a row at a anniversary event? Yes. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any issues with her. Curious question.
Yeah.
A lot of titles that float around between ROH and AEW.
Yeah.
You saw all women's matches, I guess, because it was part of the TV tournament, the television.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to give out any spoilers, but yeah, the matches were filmed specific for the TV title tournament.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's spoiler since we're not saying who won. But,
right, fair enough.
So the question, there's an odd question in AEW. There is a big dividing line between like the Women's World Championship and the TBS Championship. Women don't really cross that much between them. You're kind of in one or the other. And I'm curious, do you think, and this is for everybody out there, if you're going to put a title on Camille, would it be better to put like the TBS title on her or the ROH title on her?
Oh, wow. I'll give my opinion because they don't have a microphone. I feel like Camille is, although I feel like she is a finished product, she still needs to be introduced to a larger audience. I don't think many AEW fans also watch the NWA. And I feel like when you bring her onto the show, if you treat her like a big deal, the fans will react accordingly. If you give her these opportunities to be showcased, the fans will react accordingly. So I feel like if you put her in Ring of Honor, yeah, I feel like that audience will be attracted to her right away. But I think it would be better suited to put her on TBS and have her wrestling for the TBS Women's Championship, especially if she could somehow come in. Now, I know it's very complex because you also have Julia Hart, who is doing good business for AEW as the TBS champion. So that's kind of a bit of a styles clash, and I wouldn't want to take that away from Julia Hart. I think I said Julia Styles. Julia Hart, whatever. She kind of looks like Julia Styles now we're talking about it. I wouldn't want to take that away from her because they finally figured out how to use her in a correct way. And of course, with the women's world title, I think Toni Storm is phenomenal. So you wouldn't want to do that either. So with all that to say, it's like Athena has been the women's world champion in Ring of Honor for some time. Maybe that's the best place to change it up. And then that would kind of free Athena to make the jump from Ring of Honor to AEW and have her challenge after those titles and give Camille an opportunity to grow in Ring of Honor.
Okay. I mean, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, but I was curious to see what people thought, if they thought that it would be better going after one title than the other.
As much as I'd like to talk about that, I see a few things, and I think we should just address it. Our pal Dave Scooby says Tony Khan should hire Scott D'Amore and have him run ROH as a true promotion. I'll say this. I think Scott D'Amore should be talking to TKO right now, because if the rumors are true, and there might be a lot of front office turnover as the more of the allegations come out, more facts about the lawsuit, and I wouldn't want to be in that environment right now if I were anybody in the WWE that's at that executive position. I mean, creatively, the talent, I feel like they're fine, like they're enjoying the success of the WWE right now, but anyone who's worked in the behind the scenes promotion, not a good place to be right now.
Well, I mean, there are lots of places Scott D'Amore should probably go, but the places that need him the most are not places that want somebody to run the wrestling side of their business.
Yeah.
And, be that,
well, they said
be that AEW or NWA or some of the other places out there. Yeah, I mean, look, right now I'd rather be a agent or producer in WWE than I would want to have almost any position in AEW.
Dave Scooby points out, going back to Camille, that she did appear in AEW with right around the same time as Empower. She made an appearance and basically just towered over Layla Hirsch as they set that match up for Empower. That's a good callback. James H. Jackson wants to know, are there any Honor Club subscribers in here? That's a good question. Jammin says that Athena has been women's champion for almost 2 years in Ring of Honor. Paladin says that he watches Ring of Honor, and Jammin Music Man says he watches ROH Honor Club. So we do have a few Ring of Honor fans in the chat, and it's James H. Jackson and I have spoken about this quite a bit. They do so much wrestling content that if you are looking for just pure wrestling, I think ROH might be the promotion to go with. Like, they don't have a lot of talk time. They don't have a lot of promo time, but they definitely give you as much wrestling as they can fit into that hour that's on the Honor Club subscriber. Our pal Kukushi, who we haven't seen in a while, he says he only watches wrestling on YouTube. Hey, Kukushi, I don't know if you're familiar, but there's this wrestling promotion that's, we call them a friend of the show, and it's Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Their channel is Dog Pro Wrestling on YouTube. You should check them out. You might enjoy it. I mean, if you're only watching YouTube wrestling, that's one of the best places to go. Paladin says he loves Billy Starks on Ring of Honor. All right. I guess I shouldn't say things because those are kind of spoilers. Never mind. We won't give out spoilers here on this show. I have heard from Joe Cazana. Jeez. Heard from Joe Cazana. He will be joining us momentarily. He's talking to the boss right now, so he's been a little preoccupied. We'll ask him all about it and have him give us all the details of what's going to happen for
his wife is there or something?
I met the other boss.
Let
me see here.
Does the wife know about the other boss?
All right. I meant Billy Corgan.
Oh, yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins, NWA.
Oddly, I was out in my backyard and I saw Smashed Pumpkins.
We have not. My wife and kids decorated pumpkins. They didn't really carve them; they just decorated them. And it's time to throw those guys away.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing here, where they never ended up carving them, but they've been sitting on a table in the backyard, and with all the rain that we had the last.
It's like you're looking in my backyard right now.
It's like all the rain we had the last couple of weeks. Those pumpkins have started finally deteriorating since they were sitting in water.
Yeah, and, same.
One's actually finally, the outer shell has broken, so to speak. So, and the other two are getting close to that. So,
Kakushi says, "Yeah, I may hate Jaden, but I love Dog." James H. Jackson says, "I'm a 20-plus year Ring of Honor watcher, Honor Club, and before Honor Club, they had what was called a Ringside subscription, and I had that." Paladin wants to know about the slime balls. I don't think the slime balls have been down to Joe Cazana Promotions. And then media thinks that maybe Joe is talking to Tony Danza. I doubt that he's talking to Tony Danza. But hold me close, Tony Danza.
Oh, all right. Gee whiz.
Did you say Jeebus? Oh, it's my pal Traducus, who likes to remind me of some NWA title changes that are not recorded in the annals of the NWA. He says, "Hey, question to J Cal. Do you know when the last time the NWA titles has showed up to Erie, Pennsylvania?" From a quick Google search, it seems like it was 1953, and I'm like, it can't be that long ago. Erie, Pennsylvania. So, Traducus, what I would do if I were you is I would go to Cage Match right now, and I would just type it in my browser. I type Cage Match, and then I would put, our world champion right now, EC3. I'd type in his name, and then I would type on him as a wrestler. Then I'd put titles, and I'd go right to where it says NWA World Champion, and I'd click on that. And when I click on the World's Heavyweight Championship, it lists like the matches, right? And you could see all the matches from all of the champions. And so like the one that I would think probably could have been in Erie, Pennsylvania, I would go to like maybe a guy like Steve Corino. And so I'm looking down here at World Champions and I go, Steve Corino, did he ever wrestle in Erie, Pennsylvania? And the answer is it doesn't look like it. Not as world champion. He was in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. He defended the title against Ty Street. He was in Plymouth. But no. Oh, and Burgettstown. But no, it doesn't look like Erie, Pennsylvania was on there. Real Alliance fan. Real Alliance fans are on YouTube. That's right, man. No, you can be an Alliance fan and be on Twitch too. That's cool. Paladin says, "Hey, J Cal, thoughts on Camille going to AEW?" We were just talking about that, but I would have liked to see Camille. Look, I think Camille is more ready for TV than having to go through NXT. But it feels like NXT with the WWE, just about everyone went through NXT, including Samoa Joe, the final boss, Samoa Joe, including Fergal Devitt, you know him as Finn Balor, including Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And it feels like it didn't matter if people were already
Nakamura,
exactly, Nakamura. So it doesn't feel like for NXT and the WWE, it doesn't feel like that's like a demotion. So if Camille had showed up and debuted in NXT, that wouldn't, to me, have been a bad thing. But we also know that there's greater financial reward for most of the AEW deals. Now, our pal Joe Cazana is getting ready to log on here. And now we're going to ask him all about his day and how he's doing. Joe, welcome to the show.
You're killing me.
I'm killing you.
You're killing me. You send me this link that doesn't work. You did that intentionally.
That sounds like them.
We told everyone you were just telling Billy who's going to be the next world champion and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Sure.
So you missed our total sell of how proud we are to have Joe Cazana Promotions being a part of the NWA. Of course, we are not the NWA, but we are diehard fans of the brand. And I feel like, and I said this earlier, you could watch the replay. There is no better personification of what the NWA means to me than Joe Cazana Promotions, because I feel like you represent the past, the present, and the future of the National Wrestling Alliance in a way that not even the product on Powerrr can do justice, I feel, to the way that the NWA has always been in my mind. Right, and I mean that in the utmost respect.
Powerrr's a great show, though, man. I tell you, it's going to get better and better and better.
We definitely loved the look of that studio. I know it's not a studio; it's like a theater. But man,
you talking about the one we did down in Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, the one for Paranoia.
Oh man, that was a setup that was just absolutely incredible. It was I know that the dressing rooms were really, really tight, and Tim Storm and Jax Dane and myself, we were upstairs in the little room that we had. There was one chair in it, and I think we took turns changing clothes, just putting our boots on. Luckily, Tim uses the slip-on boots, and I do the same thing. Jax is the only one that has to lace his up. So, but yeah, it was pretty tight, but it was a really, really cool experience. I mean, I've experienced places like that before, but for people that has never been in a situation or in a place like that, man, it was really cool for them.
It reminded me very much of, this kind of the opposite direction, but it reminded me of like the WWF program that used to air late at night, Shotgun Saturday Nights, where it used to be at a bar before they
used to do that. I think from the old WWF restaurant they had in New York City.
Yeah, and it was really cool looking. I felt like it had a great vibe. And, not that anyone's taking my vote, but if they're looking for a permanent location, that to me would be ideal. That was just such a hot crowd, and it looked pleasant. We liked seeing the fans' faces on the camera too, and I think it added a little bit more to it for me anyway.
And if you noticed, as the guys and gals were walking out, there was a celebrity standing right there.
Yeah.
Did you catch Bill Alfonso standing right there?
I didn't the first time around. The second time I watched it, I did see Bill Alfonso there. I was like, oh my God, he was staring at me the entire time. I didn't even notice it was him.
Fonz was right there, man. I mean, what a great time to see him again after all these years.
Did you get a chance to catch up with him before?
A little bit. I was. It was a crazy night all the way around for everybody. Like I said, it was. The way the dressing rooms were, some of us were upstairs, some people were downstairs. There was food and drinks and everybody was spread out. So it took some time to get, from point A to point B. Like from where we were dressing, AJ and KC would literally call me or text me and say, hey, we've got to go. So I would actually have to walk outside and walk around the upstairs balcony and come back downstairs and go all the way to the other side. And then it was an ordeal to get to the gorilla position, but we got there and it worked out just fine.
Now, see, I wish that had been filmed. That would have been fun to watch.
The behind the scenes. There you go.
Yeah, it would have been like, where the hell are we going? I mean, I'm walking with Mims, and it's like. Matthew, where are we going? I said, this is nuts. He said, we got to go over here. I said, that's like 3 miles away, but no, it was a lot of fun. It was a good show.
I just imagine somebody being outside, not realizing what's going on and just watching these people come out on the balcony.
Oh, listen, right there next to where we were was like an outdoor bar. And that place was absolutely packed, and we were all walking around, and some of the guys were, of course, no shirts, all oiled down, and in tights and all that stuff, and they're like, "Who are these clowns?" I mean, really. So, but it was a really, really cool venue. It was nice and warm in Fort Lauderdale, contrary to what anybody says. Fort Lauderdale was really nice that trip, so it was fun.
When you got back,
Tampa the next day was cold. So
when you got back, then we got back home, right? Did you guys get stuck in some of the weather too, right?
Oh man, yeah. So this is what's crazy. So we flew from Tampa to Charlotte, and we knew there was a winter storm. So I mean, we flew early, and me and Austin Idol. Silas Mason, AJ, KC, Dr. Tom. I mean, we a couple of others. We were all on the same flight. Of course, Idol got off and went to Greenville, where he lives, and it's like, okay, we're going to Knoxville. So we're on the plane, man. We are flying to Knoxville, and I guess about 30 minutes into the flight, we get into the clouds. So pilot comes on and says, okay, we're making our descent into Knoxville. So as we were coming down into Knoxville, he comes back on and he says, folks, I got some bad news for you. I said, my God, it's Wade Barrett up there in the cockpit. He said, we got some bad news. And we're like, oh, shit, we're going down. I said, I'm going down with the kids, but I'm going down with Dr. Tom. So, that would have been bad. He said, Knoxville just closed their runways and just closed the airport. And we were literally about 10 minutes from landing.
Oh, man.
And he said, we're going to turn around and head back to Charlotte. We've only got 25 minutes of fuel left. I said to myself, 25 minutes of fuel left, and we're going to hightail it back to Charlotte? So we made it back to Charlotte, I guess, on fumes. And it was, we were stuck there for 2 days, just trying to get back. We went as far as trying to rent a minivan, which AJ actually did. He actually rented a minivan at the airport and got the confirmation and everything. So the next day we were all going to get in the van and drive home. So he goes in to get the vehicle, and, well, sir, we can't give you the vehicle. You're only going to go one way. He said, well, then why do I have a confirmation? You confirmed it. So I mean, it was an interesting trip. So the 7 or 8 of us were in the Courtyard Marriott in Charlotte, right next to the airport, for 2 days. So it was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean, we all wanted to get home, of course, but I mean,
Sure.
it was it wasn't terrible. But yeah, the weather kicked us in the rear end coming back. So and not only us, but Magic Jake and Alex Taylor, Jax, a couple others were stuck in Tampa because they couldn't get into Nashville. AJ said all along, he said, let's just stay here and go to Disney. He called it before we ever got on the airplane. So we should have listened to AJ and just gone to Disney. We'd have had a hell of a better time. Of course, we would have spent more money. But,
a lot more money.
Oh yeah, but he's a season ticket holder, so it didn't matter to him.
Got it. We have a question from the chat. Matthew Underwood says, "Hey Joe, can we expect the home territory of the Southern Six to be the NWA SCJCP in 2024?" I think he's hankering for you to bring in all Southern Six. Secondly, if you could pick another territory to join the NWA, where would it be? I think that's a pretty good question.
Yeah, that's 2 really good questions. Well, let me answer the first one first. The Southern Six, Silas, AT, and that despicable Kerry Morton. God, I said it before. Kerry Morton, this way, he is dangerous. And I tell him that all the time. I say, you are a dangerous Kerry Morton right now. And Ricky will look at me and just shake his head like this. So, the Southern Six. The Southern Six are a Tennessee-based group. Silas lives 45 minutes from me. Kerry lives up in Greenville / Chuckey, Tennessee. He lives up in that area, which is about an hour and a half away. AT lives over in Murfreesboro, Nashville area. So the Southern Six, albeit they're going to travel pretty much anywhere they want to go, this is going to be the home territory of the Southern Six. Matter of fact, I've got 2/3 of them with us in Kingsport tomorrow night, going up against the Stew Crew, and we'll see how that goes. Kerry, unfortunately for us, he's going to be in. I think he said he's going to be in New Jersey, so I think that's where he's headed tomorrow. But we'll have Silas and AT over in Kingsport. So yeah, the Southern Six, I feel like will predominantly wrestle here. Of course, they're going to be all over the place anyway, just like the gentlemen are with AJ and Casey. They're going to go everywhere. But honestly, I would think that this will be the home territory. It's kind of similar to what EC3 is doing up in Cleveland with some of the guys that he's got up there. I know that Aaron Stevens is there quite a bit at EC3 show. So, that'd be kind of his home little territory. But I think the Southern Six will call JCP NWA home here. Now, the second question, as far as territories goes, and I've made this comment a few times, there's really and truly, in my opinion, 3 places that should have a territory. And I'll put these in order. I feel like that the Carolinas should be the number 1 coming into 2024 with some sort of a territory over there, whether it be with an existing company, like an AML or something like that, or even another company over there that the NWA and Billy Corgan's working with. I feel like the Carolinas is probably our best bet. I know that of course Nicola Roberts is over there, Baby Doll, and Samantha Starr, her daughter, they're there. That's not a bad combo to have in the Carolinas with Baby Doll and Samantha, but they're over that way. I think
Ms. Starr, by the way.
Huh?
Ms. Starr, you don't want to get on her bad side.
Well, I get away with calling her Samantha. I've known her since. But she's Ms. Starr is a great generational kid as well, just like me, just like her mom, just like my kids, just like Kerry. We're all generational kids. Colby is another one, generational kid. Now he's in the Carolinas and he has a little promotion over there too, and it might be a good idea for maybe them to give him an opportunity. But I think that the Carolinas should be first and foremost on the list. Now, that being said, the Carolinas kind of sort of right now might be kind of in the rearview mirror a little bit. I think Florida is a place that definitely needs a territory down there. I mean, it's rich in history, especially in the Tampa area, with the Grahams being down there, which I was lucky enough to work down there with them a few times. But Florida is rich with NWA history. To be honest with you, if you stop and think about it, WWE and AEW, of course, are over on the other coast. But who was there first? The National Wrestling Alliance. And the National Wrestling Alliance is home for Florida. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think that Florida, there's 2 or 3 really, really good groups down there. I know that Brian Idol has a group down there, CCW. I mean, man, Coastal Championship Wrestling is a really, really, really good, well-run organization. Good people. I think that Florida definitely deserves a major look as far as being a territory. And this is kind of an off-the-wall thing because I know how certain people feel about this place. But, I mean, again, this might be something that you look in your rearview mirror as well. Memphis.
Oh.
Memphis, albeit, the southeastern part, part of the country is JCP. I think that Memphis is its own entity, in my opinion, just like it always was.
Yeah.
I think that the Memphis territory out there back when it was an NWA territory, it was hot, man. I mean, it was so hot it would burn your hands just by looking at it. I don't know who's in Memphis. I know a couple of folks out there that are running. I like I said, I think Memphis is a major long shot. I think if I were betting right now, I think that I would have to bet on Florida. But I think the Carolinas definitely deserve a look as far as a new territory. So I mean, I don't know as far as what Billy's going to do in 2024. I do know that I mean, I'm in it for the long haul with the NWA, just like, all of us are. We believe in the product. I believe in the product. And I said it on the NWA podcast about a month ago. I mean, I am one of the best, to me, I'm one of the best spokespersons in the world for the National Wrestling Alliance.
Yes, I agree with that, by the way.
I love the NWA. I love everything that we stood for back in my day. And I told Billy 2 years ago at Always Ready that this is the closest thing I've ever seen to what my NWA was. And there was a lot of NWAs, after the fact. I know Bill Behrens, he ran Wildside over in Nashville, and that was really, really a great NWA, area at that time when he was running it, because Bill knows the business. He knows a lot about the business. I mean, he's with this NWA as well, and I see him at every show that we go to. But he ran a great organization over there. But in my opinion, I think that, and again, I'm an NWA mark, and I mean, and that's just the way it is. That's what I grew up with. That's what that's what my grandfather's territory was NWA. I know now that we've got a brand spanking new NWA JCP Southeastern Heavyweight Championship. It's sitting right over here in my other chair. I will not show it to anybody, but it's beautiful. It weighs 150 pounds, and I'm just kidding. It's heavy though. It's heavy. Fandu did a great job on this belt.
One piece of advice for you.
Do I now?
If I'm ever out that way,
yeah,
keep it locked up.
Lock up?
Yeah,
I forgot how to lock up years ago.
No. Keep the belt locked up.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's saying he's got sticky fingers.
Listen, this thing, I mean, tell you, it ain't light, dude. I mean, it's one of those handcraft. Let me put it this way: the U.S. Tag Team titles that AJ and Anthony had, those were the heaviest belts that I have ever in my life put in my hands until this one. And this one right here, it's a 5-plater. It's probably the 7 millimeter to 10 millimeter thick, and it's like, God, man, and it's just an incredible looking championship.
Did you ever get to see I know there was this time of the NWA that you weren't necessarily involved with, but there was a point in time where the women's division, the NWA Women's Championship, we affectionately call it the 33 1/3 pound
38
gold, because that
title
it was so ugly. And DK has a replica of it, right, DK?
Oh, no, I have the one that KC used.
You had the one that
nice.
he had. Go get it. Can you please get it? Or you don't know where it's at?
It's buried under some stuff right now.
Oh, you gotta get it, man. I gotta see this thing.
I will bring it out. I can't. I honestly don't know where it's buried at right now. But I will find it and dig it out, because you're not the only person that's asked.
It is a gaudy belt. I'm gonna see if I can find one online, but it was really one of the just
it was huge.
I think the original idea was that they were going to design it to replace the 10 pounds of gold, which I think would have been a huge mistake anyways. Yeah. And when they said, okay, we're going to keep the original design for the 10 pounds of gold, DK, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's when they decided to make it the women's title, right?
They had like 2 or 3 belts that were going with that design. And then, well, let me tell you, it is.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys.
Not only that, but
the most gaudy belt I've ever seen was the last Mid-South Championship that Bill Watts had. That thing was about this big as far as the center plate goes. It probably would go from the bottom of your stomach underneath your chin.
Oh, that North American belt, yeah.
Yes, it was horrible. Yeah, the North American Mid-South title. It was horrible looking. I mean, if you were a small wrestler, that's not a very nice belt.
That was the women's championship. I want you to understand that Casey is not a big person, but you could see that the whole belt was bigger than her upper torso.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. When the women that held that belt had it on, they didn't need a bra.
I guess not.
I mean, they had the support they needed.
That was a sports bra before they became popular. Is that what
there it is?
Yeah. Do you know what this? And that's the heaviest belt I own, and I own a replica of the AWA inmate belt, and that's like the second heaviest belt I own. And so it's just like, no.
So I'm just waiting for somebody to make a replica of this one that I've got, the new Southeastern Championship.
So when will that title be?
Send me good pictures of it.
It will be actually presented to Silas Mason tomorrow night in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I don't know exactly when I'm going to air the first episode, but probably in a couple of weeks you'll be able to actually see it. I mean, I might actually take a picture of it after I take the plastic off the plates. I'm keeping the plastic on there so it can stay shiny.
Sure.
I may take a picture of it tomorrow when I get up to Kingsport and just post it after I give it to him. But it is let's just put it this way. It is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful belts there is at this point. 10 pounds of gold you can't beat. Regardless, I don't care what anybody says. The 10 pounds of gold is the most beautiful belt there is. I would love to have one. Last time I mentioned something about, I think I told him on the NWA podcast. I said, I'm proud as I could be to be part of the NWA as far as being the territory. I mean, I can't think of anything any better other than being the heavyweight champion of the world. And of course, Joe Galley says, you're challenging EC3. Well, he's already starting to stir the pot between us and the other other territory, which there was some pot stirring yesterday on Instagram between JCP and Exodus Pro. So it's gonna heat up pretty good between the two groups. I mean, they've got the world champion. We've got the national champion. And I'm going to tell you, as good as EC3 is, you give Silas Mason just that much room and he'll beat EC3.
I don't disagree with that. And I think a lot of the people in the chat would probably be on board with a Silas Mason shot at the 10 pounds of gold. Obviously, being the national champion, I mean, it's kind of like it's his divine right, being the national champion, to get an opportunity at some point against EC3.
Yeah, I made the same comment about when AJ and Anthony were the U.S. Tag Team Champions. They were the number one contenders for the World Tag Team titles, and not one time did they get a shot at Live Rebellion.
Well, apparently what you have to do is after you win a match, you hold the belt up, and then you drop it in the center of the ring. And then apparently if you do that, the announcers automatically know that you're now challenging for the world belt.
Yeah.
That's what happened with EC3.
Well, if they'd have dropped the U.S. titles in the middle of the ring, it would have cut a big hole right in the canvas. and then, depending on whose ring it was, it might have been mine. I'd have had to buy a new canvas. But I don't know. I don't know what the future is going to hold as far as what we're going to do. I know that we are going to Dothan, Alabama, at the end of the month, for the March 2nd show down there, Hard Times. And I do know that there's somebody down there that's going to have some hard times. Don't know exactly who, but we're going to find out.
And that's what we call that's what we call feeding the breadcrumbs, guys. That's just a little bit to get your appetizer going there. But
I want to talk about something. You talk enough today.
I think he told you to shut up.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he just kicked him off the whole thing.
He kicked himself off. I don't have the control.
Hey, he'll be back.
So maybe. But I want to talk about Thrillbilly.
Okay.
I like Thrillbilly.
Yeah. We talked here. I remember when Thrillbilly first debuted for Powerrr.
Okay.
And came out with Pollo.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried hard to figure that one out.
Yeah. A lot of people did.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I love it.
I couldn't, and I wasn't really sure what he was there for. And I don't even remember if he won his first match.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Luke Hawx beat him.
Who?
Luke Hawx.
Luke Hawx. Okay. Yeah. And so that was one of those, all right. And
it was a scratch your head moment, but you got to remember too, Silas.
No, I like Luke. So,
that was his first day there.
Yeah.
That was his first day there.
I mean, I like Luke, and I didn't know who Silas was, so I was probably okay that Luke won.
Now, if you listen to Silas, though, he kicked him with an illegal karate kick.
Oh, was that what happened?
Yeah, and I kind of feel the same way. It was an illegal karate kick to the carotid artery. So, yeah.
But let's talk about Silas with Pollo.
Okay.
And they faced Davey Richards. He faced Davey Richards.
Yep. Right. NWA 74.
Okay. A match that many of us had absolutely no expectations out of.
Okay.
A match many of us go, why are they doing this? And then we see the match.
Yeah.
And by the end of the match, any wrestling fan out there is suddenly a Thrillbilly Pollo fan.
Yep. Yep.
Here's a guy that in a loss came out looking better than anybody ever could have expected.
Sure. Think about it, man. I mean, wins and losses, it's all well and good. It's you present yourself in such a way. I'm going to tell you something. The Country Gentleman, the first version, not the really good version, but the first version. The first version never won a match. I mean, they'd win here and there, but when it came right down to it, they always won the championship matches. They would get a few, they get their wins on TV and things like that. But we went to Crockett Cup, U.S. Tag Team Champions. and got beat by Odinson and Kratos. Now, some people would say that there was some shenanigans going on in that match, and some people would say that Odinson's a god. I don't think that the latter is correct. I like Odinson, but he is not Thor. He is not Odin. He's more like, well, as much as I like, he's more like Loki. No, I like Odinson, but I like Kratos. They're a great tag team. They're doing the U.S. tag team titles proud. When AJ and Anthony lost them, in my opinion, that was a bad night all the way around. You know, just for AJ. For Anthony, I could care less. That's another story for another day.
Well, a lot of fans felt the same.
Yeah, well, a lot of fans still feel the same way. But Silas and Pollo Del Mar, Pollo, you talk about an anomaly. I think the world of Pollo Del Mar, and I can't say enough good things about Pollo. I really can't. I've had Pollo on my podcast as well. I mean, I did it with her and Silas had the podcast last year, and again, Pollo Del Mar knows the wrestling business inside and out. Does a great job with the NWA magazine.
Yes.
I mean, Paul's the one that put together the whole thing when it came to the talent that's in there, everything that they did, what championships they have or had. I mean, there's just nothing bad to say. But a lot of people like you felt the same way. Is what is this matchup all about? And Silas did too in the beginning. It's like, he said, why? And I looked at him and I said, Silas, I said, this is what they want from you. Roll with it, man. They got a place for you. Go with it. And he went with it, and you see him today. He's the national heavyweight champion. He is one of the top wrestlers in the country.
Now, one of the things that we look back at the rise of Silas, and you'll have to forgive me, my memory's not the best, so I don't necessarily remember what show they were promoting, but I remember them being on like a local station, and
it was his show.
And so he was doing the promoting, and he did that scene and all that and stuff like that. And that may have been the first time I really, really heard him talk. And I remember telling Jay offline, I go, man, this guy gets it.
Oh, sure he does.
I go, listen to the way he talks. I go, watch him in the ring. Watch both him and Pollo. Watch the facial expressions. I go,
he's a student, man. He does. He gets it. All these kids get it. My kids get it, which is amazing because, I mean, it took me quite a while to actually figure this thing out. Just muddling through a bunch of stuff. And finally I did, and I got lucky. But these guys, I mean, Silas actually, for my stuff, he's actually an agent. He's got that kind of mind for the business. Very well spoken. Don't let the whole Thrillbilly thing throw you for a loop, because Silas Mason is a very well spoken person. He's got a college education. He knows this business.
Well, I mean, we've had him on the show.
But I mean, on the show, he's in character.
Yeah.
Well, we wondered if there was a difference.
That outside the ring too. Believe me, he is. But when you get past all the Thrillbilly stuff and you really get to him, very intelligent person. Like I said, he knows the business. He understands the business. He knows what it takes to get himself over. Same as, like I said, most of these kids do. My kids do. They understand what it takes to get themselves over. AJ is probably, when it comes to having a mind for the business, he reminds me all the time that, Dad, this isn't 1987.
Wow.
And and really in the beginning, I used to get pissed off about it. And finally I said, you know what? He's right. It's not. It's not 1987. It's like when Billy asked me, he said, you got another run left in you? And I told him, I said, well, you'll get the 2023 version of Joe Cazana because you're not going to get the 1991 version of him because that guy's gone. I said, but I'll give you everything I got. And at that point, I have already taken a few bumps, with the NWA. So, it's okay because I really feel like that I can still get out there and do something, maybe bring something to the table. I tell people all the time, I said, you know what? I'm not dead. I've still got a mind and a head for this business. I think I know what works because it's like I've said a million times over. It's like the territory system. It's so old, it's new again. I'm so old, I'm new again. I'm getting.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, I get messages all the time. It's just we go back, we watched your stuff, man. God, I couldn't believe you had all that long blonde hair, or whatever. I said now it's all gray, but what's left, the bleach killed most of it. But
Sure.
I mean, Silas gets it. He truly does.
So,
and that's very nice to see.
It is.
It's very nice to see with people like Silas and your boys and everybody.
Yeah, these kids aren't like we were. They like to have a good time, but they've all tried to get KC to drink with them. Now he won't touch it. He won't do any. He'll hang out with them, and he'll drink his Coke or whatever. Now, I bet the hardest thing that KC will drink is like one of those hard Mountain Dews, and even then he might finish half of it. I know that he won't do that. But these kids, they don't do what we did. I mean, it's
probably a good thing.
AJ will say, well, y'all had lines of cocaine all over the floor. And no, we didn't. No, we didn't.
No, we left them on the seats.
We waited till we got to the hotel. No, seriously, all BS aside, this is a different kind of a time for wrestling. These kids understand what it takes to do what they need to do. The group that's with the NWA now, the office itself, and I do consider myself, part of the office, but I'm kind of sort of over here where, you've got your COO, CEOs over here, and I've got a really good relationship with all of them. But I think that these guys now, your Joe Galleys, your Kyle Davises, Billy Corgans, your Pat Kennys, these guys, they know this stuff, man, like the back of their hand. Billy Corgan is a historian when it comes to this business. He knows it inside and out. I mean, he and I have talked a lot about the old days, and he totally talked. I mean, he'll roll with it. I mean, a good example in Fort Lauderdale, we were going over some of the stuff that the gentlemen were going to be doing that evening, and he was giving me an idea of what we wanted to do, and it was all wrestling. And we started talking about some other things with wrestling, and I gave him an idea. I said, got something I want to show you. I said, I'll bring it to the next show. I've got a telegram from the Boxing Commission awarding my grandfather the WBA/WBC heavyweight boxing championship of the world between Cassius Clay and whoever he was going to box. But it's Cassius Clay. But he loves that kind of stuff. And then the flip side of it, later on that evening, we're outside, we're sitting, we're talking, and we're just talking about stuff that's not wrestling. Then we start talking about Hogan's Heroes. He likes Hogan's Heroes. I love Hogan's Heroes. But we started talking about Hogan's Heroes. So, I mean, it's he gets it, man. All those guys get it. And you can't ask for a better bunch of people to work for. I am a great spokesman for the National Wrestling Alliance because I believe in what they do. I love what they do. I mean, it's home for me. It's home. And when I say that, I'm not bullshitting anybody, and I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's ass. And I tell these guys the same thing. I love the NWA.
Hey,
Always
Joe,
have.
Joe, let me ask you a question real quick about the Cazana boys, AJ
Yeah.
and KC. Was it always in the cards that they wanted to follow in your footsteps and be
God,
pro
no.
wrestlers?
No,
Because
God, no.
because I know KC's still a younger man, and commentary will tell you that he's they have to check the ID to let him in the building. But
Oh yeah, let's listen to him all the time. Boy wonder. Hey, the truant officer's going to come and get him. They're going to be waiting on him. He can't even grow hair under his armpits. Oh yeah, I hear deals all the time.
what was the genesis to get them into the business? Is that something that you supported right away, or is that something that you had to be talked into?
With AJ, he played football at the University of Tennessee, and when he left Tennessee, he was in limbo. I mean, he was working a regular job here and there, and it was just, I guess for a couple of years after he left Tennessee, it was just, I mean, how kids are. He decided that hey, I want to wrestle, and I supported it 110%. Now, I tried to deter him a little bit, just to make it look good on the surface. But I knew that it's a hard life, or it was, and it probably is to these kids, but they don't know what it's like to eat a raw potato or to sleep in your in your little Datsun B210 hatchback for 3 or 4 days at a time while you're on the road, or drive 500 miles for $20. I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I supported, what AJ did, and just with what he did, he worked his way through, just these different independents that are out there. He worked with a couple of partners out there. It was a rough go for the first couple of years for AJ as far as the wrestling business goes. I mean, he got to see what it was really all about, and he got put on the ring crew with the NWA, and I guess the rest of that's history. But I supported him, 100%, within the business itself. Now with KC, it was a little different. He of course he played college football at Tusculum University, and he came to me one day and he said, "Dad," he said, "I don't want to play the COVID year." He said, "I'm so tired of football." And I told him, I said, "Well, that's fine. Just finish this year with your education, and you don't have to go back and play the COVID year, because that would have been year number 5."
Yeah.
And these kids that were up there in college playing ball during the COVID time, they got 6 years of eligibility they could play, which is nuts.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to play. I mean, he'd been playing football since he was 5 years old. And he was coming off of, 4 grueling years of high school football, where they were playing literally sometimes 14, 15 games in a season.
Right.
Because they were making it to the quarterfinals or the semifinals or the finals of the state. And then he went on and played at Tusculum, and they played 2 seasons in 1 year one time, for the COVID year. They played a spring season and a fall season. So with him, it was more like, I don't know the actual the reasoning behind him wanting to become a wrestler. I guess it's just I did it, and his brother's doing it, so he was going to give it a try. So he did. He worked out with Doc, and with KC, he was in the right place at the right time. And when Anthony walked out, he took his ball and went home. From 75, we were in Nashville, and I don't know if I told this story on the last one or not, but we were in Nashville, and rumor was it was going to be me and AJ against Daisy Kill and Talos, for the tag team titles, and that was the rumor, and it was pretty much set. When Jake came to me and said, "Hey, you got a pre-tape, and this is what you want to talk about," and I thought, "Oh God, this is real." So
Wow.
I thought, I said, thankfully I had my gear with me because I really don't go any place without it because it's always there. But Ricky Morton came to me and he said, JoJo, he said, can your youngest, can he go? And I said, yeah, I mean, Ricky, I said, Doc trained him. So yeah, he can go. He's greener than goose shit, but he could go. And probably 20 minutes later, Billy catches me there in the studio, and he says, Joe, he said, can Jackson, because that's Casey's real name. He said, can Jackson wrestle? And I said, Billy, I said, I'll tell you like I told Ricky. I said, he was trained by Doc, so I know he can wrestle, but he's greener than goose shit. And Billy just kind of laughed a little bit. So that's kind of how we left it that day. So I did the pre-tape, and it was more geared towards the whole Anthony leaving kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the next day at TV, they came to me and they said, "Okay, you're off the hook. Kirk's gonna tag with his brother." So that was like, oh God, okay, that was interesting. So Billy actually came out. He found my wife and he said, Sandra, he said, would it be okay if we changed Kirk's name to KC? And I'm thinking, he asked you that? She said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. So that's where he got the KC, and KC is for Kirk Cazana, KC Cazana. But when he went out there, I mean, there were no expectations at all from this version of the Country Gentleman,
right?
And, the better version, by the way. But he went out there, and in my 40 years, actually in the business, I've never seen a debut like his. Even when your partner there was talking about, and you were talking about, you looked so good getting beat. I mean, he looked good getting beat. I mean, Talos bumped for him. So, I mean, that's, and he, Talos, God, man, he's a giant. Love him to death. He's a giant, though. And Daisy is, he's another JPWA guy. So these JPWA guys, man, they're pretty tight when they get in the ring together. But he had the best debut I've ever seen, and it was magic with the gentleman at that point. And they each complement each other. Whereas with Anthony and AJ, it was more brute and brute.
Right.
Right now you got a brute and a pure stud athlete. I look at it as a Diesel and Shawn Michaels kind of thing. To put it that way. Yeah.
I was there for that debut, and I'll do you one different. I kind of thought of it more like, do you remember the tag team Power and Glory? It was
Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff.
It was Paul Roma and Hercules Hernandez.
Oh, Hercules, yeah, that's right, Hercules.
And that's the vibe I got from it, because Roma was, he was the athlete and Hercules was the powerhouse, and that's kind of what I got from it. But I was there for that debut, and I didn't know who Casey was, and they said, "Oh, that's AJ's brother." I'm like, "Okay, sure, I don't know," and I was surprised too. I didn't know how long he had been wrestling for.
At that point, 3 months.
Yeah, you had told us that the last time you were on for 3 months. And so that, like, I was super impressed knowing that he had only been in-ring competitor for 3 months.
Right.
That was pretty awesome to see that, and that be a part of that moment. And they gelled so well that the idea has been to keep them together as a tag team. And of course, they'll be on upcoming episodes of Powerrr and the signature live events coming up soon.
Yep, we're gonna see just exactly what the KC and AJ are made out of. They're gonna make some noise. I've said it once and I'll say it again. This team, they complement each other well. They make each other better. It's like I said, I watched some of the stuff KC's been working on, and I've seen him do a coast to coast. Which is, for a 240-pound man, that's that says something. Now you're jumping 18 feet. Come on,
Yeah.
I saw him do these when he did when they wrestled the slime balls in Nashville, and he popped that second rope, top rope, inverted crossbody. I mean, it popped me, it popped Kyle Davis, it popped Deals. I mean, it was everybody. It was incredible, and some of the stuff that I've seen him do since. I've seen some stuff he's working on in workouts now. I saw something that he did at Doc's just last night that's going to surprise a lot of people at Hard Times. I'm not going to divulge what it was, but it was a move that I've not seen in a long time. And I said, where'd you pull that out of? He said, a match that you had with Owen Hart.
Okay. All right.
I said, okay. Well, I've had 2 or 3 matches with him. He said, and he gave me the particular match. So I said, okay. I remember that. So yeah, I said, maybe you can hit it as good as Owen.
Well, with that being said, and we've talked about, just teased a little bit about Hard Times that's just going to Alabama, and that's coming up on March 3rd as a signature live event.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about tomorrow night. Obviously,
yeah,
that's going to be a big night for you as you guys make your debut in Kingsport. And Kingsport, for me, as being someone who's talked about the NWA for a long time, I'm familiar with the innovative out there with Tony Givens.
Sure.
This is the first time that you come out to that way, and I know that Toby Farley had been one of prominently featured in Tony's shows, and it's kind of like a homecoming for him. Let's talk about this big event that's happening tomorrow night?
Well, tomorrow night it's like you said, it's our debut. There's some NWA guys on the show. Of course, there's going to be some younger guys on the show because that's kind of what we're doing as a territory. We are trying our best to find the next talent. It's like, Kyle Davis had said on our podcast, I was the one responsible for bringing him Rolando and Silas. And, it's hard to take credit for Silas, even though they asked me about him and I had him there. It was AJ that did that. AJ's one that talked him up big time, but, there's a couple of new tag teams that are showing up tomorrow night. You've got the tag team that the gents are working with tomorrow night. They are called the Guiding Light, and it is Evan Golden and Michael Gabriel. These 2 kids, they're young. They have they've done some good things out there. Evan Golden himself is a 2nd generation kid. He his dad is Eddie Golden.
Okay,
from up there. But yeah, they're going to be that's going to be an interesting tag team. They are doing, and I for lack of a better word, they are doing a quote unquote pastor and a youth pastor deal. That's kind of their shtick. I said, shoot, everything I'm watching Sal do right now, I'm going to put Sal with them. But yeah, they're gonna be working them now. Big Strong Mims, of course, is going to be there, and he is going to be working with another young talent in Shoop. He likes to go by Shoop. That's his last name because he works harder. He's got that Boston accent. He sounds like Kevin Sullivan. But he's going to go up against Shoop. Now Shoop's been around a few years, but he took a long time off. So this is a big opportunity for Tyler Shoop to get out there and see what he can do against Big Strong Mims. I'm going to tell you something. Big Strong Mims he is Big Strong Mims. I watched him work AJ 3 times, and it was actually 3 of the most hard hitting matches I've ever seen. So they just all beat the snot out of each other, but they're going to be there doing that.
That's what we like, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, who doesn't? Now, of course, the perennial tag team right now in JCP or NWA JCP are the Heatseekers.
Yeah.
Sigmund and Russell. They are the NWA JCP Southeastern Tag Team Champions. They, I'm trying to remember. Oh, they're going to go up against a new team. What are they called? The Weaver and the Pain.
Okay.
Yeah, Moxie and Bob. Now, Bruiser Bob is he's another anomaly. His thing is, he went to bed one night as Bob and woke up the next day thinking he's Bruiser Brody. So believe me, he ain't Bruiser Brody, but he thinks he is. He's 5'9", 5'10", but he thinks he's 6'7". Moxie and Bruiser Bob have tagged a couple of times together, and they've done a really, really good job. And Jeremiah Plunkett, of course, he's going to be there. He's the consummate professional. He's going to be wrestling a kid by the name of Andy Optimal. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He's a big motivational kind of a speaking kind of guy. He is the I guess the Kurt Angle motivational speaker or the pitch man. That's what he does. So that's it. That's his thing. And Toby Farley, of course. Toby's got a tough match tomorrow night. I mean, he's going to be defending the openweight championship against Zuka King. What, y'all having a storm over there?
Yeah, it's been raining nonstop.
Oh, you're in California, so yeah, it's been raining for what, not 2 days, but it's been like 2 months.
It feels like 3 years.
Yeah. But yeah, he's going to be wrestling Zuka King. So, Zuka's been around a long time. He's a Carolina kid. So that's going to be a good one. And then again, the Southern Six, Silas Mason and Alex Taylor are going to be wrestling the Stew Crew.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Stew Crew is they had a tough outing in Cofield. They had a tough day all the way around in Cofield. It seemed like every time they turned around, there was some kind of issue, whether it be Spanky, losing Zach's boots, or Dylan getting stuck in the mud because it was raining that day. I mean, it was a tough day for Stu. So this will be a good test and a good rebound. So Stu wins this match. That pretty much puts him right back in line for a shot at the tag titles. But right now, the Seekers are they pretty much got a clutch on it. They have since the Tennessee Valley Fair. But they did that, and honestly, right now too, it seems like Silas Mason is unbeatable as the Southeastern champion. So somebody may show up to be able to challenge Silas at some point. I don't know if it's going to come down to I won't say a conflict of interest with both championships. Him having both.
Right.
If he continues to hold on to both of them, there's going to come a time where he's going to have to make a decision. I mean, and believe me, I'm sure that he'll, definitely hang on to the national championship. So, I mean, there'll be a decision made because, there'll be a conflict where he has to go defend the national title at such and such place, but he's obligated to come to defend the Southeast. Something will happen. And I'm sure that being said, that the Southeastern Championship will be up for grabs. I hate tournaments with a passion. I know EC3's running one now for the NWA Exodus Championship. Bless his heart, I just hate tournaments.
Can I put a little bug in your ear, because I would love to see the match between Silas Mason and Toby Farley. I'm big on Toby Farley, but I'm also big on Silas, and I think that one would be a lot of fun.
I don't know if. First of all, I don't know if Toby can stand up to the actual, the lack of a better word, the glomming that he would be. Silas would be all over him. It wouldn't even be funny. Although I don't know if Silas can stand up to the hardcore Toby Farley.
Right.
That would be interesting. I know Silas always wants to do some kind of hardcore match with me for my last match. He wants us to go out there and use light tubes and everything else, but not really use them. And he wants Jim Cornette to finish him off. So, I don't know. I think hardcore Toby would give him a run for his money. Although I hate hardcore matches with a passion.
I'm not a huge fan either, but Toby, what I've seen of Toby, I've enjoyed. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked him a million times. I mean, he asked me one time, it was a couple of years ago. He said, "Why don't you ever book me?" I said, "Because all you know is hardcore." Can you wrestle? And he said, "Well, give me a chance." I said, "Well, okay." So he came in, he wore boots, he wore trunks, and I thought, well, okay, that's a good start. And he got out there and he wrestled, and it was like, okay, well, Toby can wrestle. Good. That's another talent we've got. I've never been a fan of hardcore wrestling. I think that, albeit there might be a place for it out there, you know, like with Cardona and EC3. I mean, there was a reason for that. To me, if you're going to do that, or barbed wire or any kind of gimmick match like that, there needs to be a reason. There needs to be a part of that story that leads up to all that. There needs to be something that goes on that does that. So I feel like that the match that EC3 and Cardona had was really, really good, but there was a lot of lead up and build up that caused that. So I don't. Again, it's my opinion. And I'm almost 60 years old, so I can have my own opinion. I don't give a crap what anybody else says. and if I sound like a heel, then so what? But I don't think there's a place.
That's my gimmick on this show.
I just, the first person that ever breaks a light tube in my ring will never wrestle for me again. Now, if by chance there's a light tube out on the floor and they use it on the floor, that's different.
Sure.
But if it's ever used in my ring, they'll never be in my ring again.
Last weekend, I guess it's because I'm that old school guy that if I'm going to have issues with somebody, I'm going to take you out in a cage, or I'm going to take you out in a Texas death match. My God, man, I guarantee
real Texas death match.
I guarantee you that I have gone over rails, through chairs, into fences. Guarantee you worse than any light tube that could ever hit somebody. I mean, I had the Mongolian Stomper throw me over 3 damn flights of steps. You tell me that going over 3 flights of steps isn't going to hurt worse than getting hit in the head with a damn light tube? Come on.
I have a question.
Let me go real quick. Last weekend, I was at mostly because Kerry Morton was out here, but also because Matt Cardona. But GCW came out to my backyard, and I had never been to one of their shows because I'm not a deathmatch fan. I don't enjoy that style of wrestling. And it was such a weird dichotomy because a lot of their matches featured a lot of hardcore wrestling. They were not allowed to use light tubes, so there were no light tubes, which was good for me. Sure. But Kerry Morton wrestled Action Jackson in about like a 6 or 7 minute long match, and the crowd was eating up Action Mike Jackson, and I've never seen that guy use a light tube ever once. Yeah, and I'm like, look, you can get wrestling over with a hardcore crowd.
Sure, you can.
You can't necessarily get hardcore over with a non-hardcore.
You can do hardcore wrestling, because what is hardcore wrestling? It's a Texas death match. It is it's any kind of match that has some kind of stipulation. There's your shtick, man. I mean, again, like I said, have you ever seen Dusty Rhodes and Terry Funk in Texas death matches? They are bleeding like crazy. They're beating the snot out of each other. They're flying over railings. They're flying through the crowd. They're flying through the ropes, over the ropes. I mean, they get hit in the head with chairs, which you cannot do anymore.
Yeah.
The concussion protocol would kill you. But I mean, it's like, okay, you get hit in the head with a steel chair, or get hit in the head with a light tube. I'll take the chair any day of the week, because I don't want to be picking glass out of my head for a month.
That's fair.
That's just my opinion. And again, if you crucify me for it, that's fine. I don't care. It's my opinion.
I think you're in the right, safe place for that opinion, because as our friend Doty's from Indonesia. He joins us all the way from Indonesia, and he says Texas death match, the only Texas death match I approve of.
Exactly. I mean, and that is, to me, that is the culmination of months of everything else, whether you've been in a cage or whether you've had a strap match or anything like that. I mean, a Texas death match is exactly what it is. It's a death match. And no, you're not going to fight to the death. I mean, I could have died going through those dead blame steps. That's what I told Archie too. I said, you could have killed me. He said, I had you. I said, whatever. That was later in life, by the way. But to me, that's the only type of hardcore match I even want to be involved with is a Texas death match. I don't want light tubes. I don't need thumbtacks. I don't need Legos. I don't need tables and or doors. I don't need that stuff.
What about action figures?
No. I mean, those aren't going to hurt you. They're made out of rubber, for God's sakes.
Jim,
but I mean, no. Like I said, that the match that EC3 had with Cardona, that was probably, if I'm going to watch a match like that, a match from hell like that was, then that's what you watch. I mean, there was one spot with the light tubes, and there was a reason for it. Yeah. There was a spot with the tacks. There was a reason for it. There was a spot with the doors. There was a reason for it. They told a story, and they've been telling that story for months, and that's why it worked. I can't see somebody going into a match where you've never wrestled. It'd be like me going and wrestling one of you guys,
right? And
the first thing you're going to do is grab a light tube and crack me in the side of the skull with it. Why?
Yeah, that's the only way I could win.
Well, maybe so, but you're just going to piss me off.
That's right.
And a 22-year-old Joe would absolutely go off. Now, this Joe, right, you probably knocked my ass out, but
not me.
Like I said, to me, and that's my opinion. And I'll be honest with you. I bet there's thousands of people out there with the same opinion. Now, is there a niche for it? Sure, there is. I like GCW. I mean, I really do. There's great athletes in GCW. There really are. And it's like you said, you don't have to use barbed wire and light tubes and thumbtacks and chainsaws. And, what are they going to do next? The only thing they can do to beat what they just did was absolutely murder somebody, literally murder somebody, and go to commercial, come back, and they're in a casket. That's it. And you bury them in the ground. I mean, seriously.
I think they tried that once in WWE.
Well, sure, they'd buried alive. But yeah, I mean, that's all special effects. That's great. But I'm talking about literally kill somebody. I mean, that's the only thing you can beat it with. So,
our pal Matthew Underwood says, "Hey Joe, are we going to see Devin Dixon? Does he get his licks back on the Southern Six?"
Funny you should say that about Devin. Devin Dixon, Silas Mason, AJ Cazana, Jeremiah Plunkett. They were the TVA, the Total Violence Authority. That's what they were up until Silas went to Australia. When he went to Australia, he came back. He was the whatever he does his fingers, the Southern Six. And AJ and Devin both took took it pretty bad. I mean, he walked away from a great faction. Now Southern Six a great faction too, but I would take Plunkett and AJ and Silas and put them in a 6-man tag with Silas, AT, and Kerry Morton. TVA beat them every time.
I think that should maybe the next headline for the next show.
It could be Silas versus Silas. But Devin, he got his shot on Powerrr last season.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that he will be back. I don't think that Silas really knows exactly, and if I'm speaking from a fan's point of view, I don't think that Silas knows just what kind of Pandora's box he's opened.
All right.
I think that if it's the right time and it's the right night, I think Devin can take this Southeastern belt from him. And I said that the day before Devin wrestled Silas for the national title. told the guys on the NWA podcast that, any given day, Devin Dixon can beat Silas Mason. He knows him well, knows him better than anybody else does.
Right.
My God, the Mason-Dixon line were together forever. So, Silas threw away what? Friends since childhood? Kind of like Edge and Christian.
Sure. The question I also have for you is, because we've talked a lot about that the new title, the Southeast Championship, and I know DCAM is excited to see it. I'm excited to see it. I know folks in the chat want to see it, and of course, it's going to be the premier title for Joe Cazana Promotions. It's going to be featured on your YouTube channel.
Yep.
But you guys are so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
But my big question is, are we going to ever see that title on Powerrr or one of the next signature live events? I mean, I feel like part of the great thing of this territory system is that not only are you guys developing stars that will go on to join the NWA roster, but you're also, you're showcasing champions right now. And a guy like, obviously Silas has his own belt, but the national title for Powerrr. But, I'd like to see him show up on TV with both titles and kind of show up and show out. You know what I mean? Like I'd love to see both belts.
Well, the Southeastern Championship now is a recognized NWA title, just like the NWA Exodus title. It is a recognized championship. So it would not surprise me one bit if you saw Silas walk out with that NWA JCP Southeastern title at some point on NWA Powerrr. Could be this next set of tapings. It may not be. You just don't know. I feel like that. I don't even think he'd have to ask permission. I think he could just do it just simply because, like Billy said, it is a recognized championship now.
Right.
So when you go down your list of top contenders, then the Exodus champion and the JCP champion is right there in your top 10. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think at some point you'll see Silas or whoever the champion is show up on NWA Powerrr with the championship.
And then my next question for you is, with that title, representing your company, and the NWA Powerrr now on CW, the
Right.
NWA is in the name now. It's, you guys have become that territory. Have you noticed a difference in the reaction that you're getting from your casual fans, your local fans? Are they buying into this NWA now as the whole partnership has continued to blossom?
It's kind of hit and miss. I think a lot of the older generation, I think they get it, they understand it.
Yeah,
they know that the NWA was huge back in my day, and even in older people. I think that the younger generation, I don't think they really give two rips one way or the other. I really don't.
I get you.
I think that they just want to come and watch good wrestling. But as far as getting some kind of push, as far as with the NWA at the beginning of our name, it's getting looked at a lot more differently, I guess, than it was before when it was just JCP. People knew who I was. They knew that I had that reputation for putting together a good show. But with this, it's more like it's not starting over. But with, like you said, your casual fan, the younger kids are like, okay, what happened to JCP?
Right.
Well, no, JCP's still here. It's just we are now NWA JCP, and again, you just have to get used to it because I don't plan on going anywhere. Both of my kids and Silas and all the rest of them can sign with the WWE or AEW tomorrow. I'm going to be with the NWA. WWE could call me tomorrow and say, hey, we want to do such and such. I said, well, go ahead and do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that. Let the younger guys and gals go and have their time. I'm just here to put together the best shows that I can for our territory, the same way that EC3 is in his territory. He's a great world champion. He will not be world champion forever.
Right.
I mean, there'll come a time where somebody will beat him. Now he's still a young man. I mean, as far as wrestling years go, he's a young man, relatively young man. Great champion, like I said, great champion. You can't say enough good things about him. He's one of a kind, and he's very intelligent, and he understands. But again, like I said, he will not be champion forever. So at some point, he'll be in that position that I'm in, to where it's okay. Let these kids get their time in the sun, and that's kind of where I am. Aaron Stevens, a good friend of mine, he's kind of sort of in the middle right now. He's really over with BFT, but yet he still understands, and he said, man, he said, I want to get these younger guys and gals just ready to go, because we're not going to be here forever. So,
Real
my
quick.
God, Pollo. Hello, Pollo.
Pollo's watching on Instagram.
So
There you go. That's why I said some good things about Pollo earlier. Don't say anything that I said good though.
We'll cut that out of the recording.
Cut that completely out of it.
Our pal
Joe.
Doty says Silas and AJ should be future NWA World Champions, and I think he means the world's heavyweight champion, not tag team champions. And future is bright for both those men. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the time for, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I love all these guys, but I think that the older fellas that are out there right now, I think their time in the sun is starting to slowly, fade, and it might be time to start making these young kids go out there and do their thing and teach them. The best locker room leader that the NWA has right now, by far, and he is God. I not a whole lot of bad stuff I could say about this guy, but he is probably the locker room leader. And there's quite a few locker room leaders in the NWA, but Trevor Murdoch is a great locker room leader, and he believes in the NWA product, and he is absolutely, like I said, he is a great leader. He will definitely speak his mind. And listen, another great leader, Jax Dane's a great locker room leader. People wouldn't think so, but Jax Dane, man, at the last show, he spoke his mind, and he was right. Aaron Stevens, great locker room leader. I mean, the older guys, I mean, I kind of keep to myself. I don't try to put myself, in a situation to make anybody look bad or anything. I just, like I said, I'll sit over wherever I'm sitting. I'll play my games on my phone or my slot machines or whatever, or I'll just walk around and do my thing, because that's what I've always done, just do my own thing. If somebody wants to talk to me or ask me a question or whatever, then but a lot of conversations that I do have, I have them with Trevor or Aaron and Jax. Tim Storm's another good leader. But I have good conversations with these guys, because we all relate, because we all have been around for quite some time now. I am older than all of them. I think I'm even no. Tim and I are the same age, but and Dr. Tom's another one that he's a lot like me though when it comes to he does his thing. He just he walks around, he does his thing. He doesn't push himself onto anybody. But he is that silent leader, I guess. But Trevor and Aaron, Jax, Tim Storm, they're great locker room leaders. You can't say enough good things about these guys. But again, none of us are going to be around forever, right. And we've got to turn the reins over ever so slowly to this younger generation, because that's the future. Your AJs, your Silas's, your KC's, your Alex Taylor's, Kerry Morton. Ricky, I left out Ricky. I shouldn't leave out Punky. Punky's a great leader. He's like the rest of us. It's time to slow down and let these kids go out there and do exactly what they do. And That's just, again, my opinion, and that's just the way it is. So if you don't like my opinion, that's fine. Keep your own opinion to yourself.
Well,
we're really good at that, keeping our opinion to ourselves.
You got about 5 more minutes of my time because Hogan's Heroes comes on at 10 o'clock.
Well, I do have a question for you.
Okay, what's your question?
What do you feel are the advantages, or is there advantages to having a world champion?
Yeah.
A world championship that's bigger than just your own promotion. So I mean, like with EC3, he's a guy that defends a world title all over
everywhere, yeah,
all over the nation. So do you feel like there's an advantage of being part of something bigger than you, which is what the NWA is?
Right. That's a good question, and I honestly think that with EC3, I think he can separate it. Like I said, he's a great world champion. He defends it all over the world. But in the end, he is Exodus Pro. That is, that's his baby, and he believes in it the way that I believe in JCP. I don't think that he feels like that he's bigger than anybody else. I guess he is about as down to earth as anybody. And he's the world champion. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to call me or text me or just laugh and cut up and tell. He doesn't have to do all that kind of stuff. But he is that kind of a down to earth kind of a person. I don't think that he feels like that what he's doing worldwide is any more important than what he's doing in Exodus Pro or what he's doing at OVW, or when he comes down here to JCP. I don't think that he feels like that it's any. I think that basically everything with him has always been, since I've known him, has always been an even keel. That's just what I think about EC3. I think that he keeps everything in perspective, and I just don't think that championship's any bigger than anything else. He just happens to be the world champion. He just happens to be Exodus Pro, and good for him.
But for your promotion, I guess I'm less concerned with who the world champion is as much as the championship itself. So, So is there an advantage that one of the things that blew my mind was when I first started watching wrestling, I was watching TBS.
Right.
And then I had family down in Dallas. So I drove down to Dallas and I'm watching World Class.
Sure.
And there's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And I knew her with the same belt that I was seeing him in Georgia.
Right.
And I'm going, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're going with it, and it's really cool, I guess. You're watching NWA Powerrr. The guy's got the world championship on. You come to JCP tomorrow night, and God, there's EC3 with the world championship. It's good stuff. I mean, it really is. It really is. So, again, like I said, I think that he, everything with him is just like this. He is about as level can be. I mean, that's his thing, man. Yeah. I mean, direct your narrative or whatever he called it. So
he it's like 3 or 4
CIY, wasn't it?
3 or 4.
What I tell him one time, I said, correct your narrative or whatever. He just laughed. He said, "Oh no, that's not what it is." But no, I think that I think that he is, like I said, I think he's as level can be, and I don't think he feels. I don't think any of us feel like that championship's bigger than the territories or any place else that he goes and wrestles, whether it be in Canada or Mexico or Japan or any number of other places that he goes. And I feel like Tim Storm was the same way. When he was world champion, he kept it level. Aldous, when he was world champion, I didn't know Nick all that well. I met him a couple of times and that was it. I didn't get a good read on him at all, but I mean, he conducted himself with class as champion, I feel like. But like I said, I think that right now, I think that the best thing for the NWA is EC3. as world champion.
One of the biggest misses the WWE had in the last 15, 20 years was not doing something more with EC3.
Yeah, other than just pretty much putting him with the guy that brought out the bunnies and the this and that and just did stupid stuff, 24/7 championship. Yeah, he's so much better than that. He really is. And like I said, I think the world of him, and he really is just that. He's just a smooth character, man.
Real quick, Mike, our friend Mike will be there tomorrow night, and
awesome.
He said make sure the show's over by 10 so I can get a cab.
Yeah. Well, funny you should say that. I've got to drive home, so there you go.
There you go.
I'm 2.5 hours away, and I've got to work Saturday, so because I still got a real job. So there you go.
Yeah. Tomorrow night tickets are just $15 for ringside. General admission $10.
Yep.
At the beautiful Bobby Eaton Arena at the.
Listen, that place is awesome. If you wait till you see it when we on YouTube, it is a great place to shoot television. It only seats about 300 people, give or take, and I think you could probably. I think if you put 300 people in there, it's going to be super tight. Because, like I said, I've been in there. I think if you put 200 in there, 225, man, you're comfortable. You're comfortable. And I know we've already sold quite a few tickets, and there are a few ringside tickets left. I think front row is sold out. I'm not sure. That's my guy Dan up there. He handles all that ticket stuff right now. So we'll see how it goes.
Will those hats
be a fun night?
Will those hats and T-shirts be available? Because that's a sharp looking hat. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you like this hat?
Yeah,
they're for sale.
Is it on the website? Where can I find it? Because I will go.
You tell me you want one, and I will. You PayPal me the money, and I'll send it to you. I still do my own stuff, man.
Then you expect a DM from me later tonight.
Send it. I've got this T-shirt as well. Let me push this down here a little bit. We got this T-shirt.
Yeah, that's sharp. That's sharp.
Yeah, we've got that T-shirt, and soon we'll have hoodies.
There he goes.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night's the big night, and of course, then on March 3rd will be the NWA returns to Alabama for
March 2nd.
Hard Times. What's that?
March 2nd.
Oh, excuse me, March 2nd. Apologize.
Yeah, we fly in March 1st and fly out March 3rd. So.
Yeah. If everyone shows up on the 3rd, they're not going to be very happy with me. So yes, March 2nd.
March 2nd down there for Hard Times, and this will be God. I did Hard Times a couple of times back in the old days. Both times it was in Louisiana, and then I was at Hard Times last year, which was in Louisiana. AJ had a shot at the World TV title. Then it was vacated, and it was he and Jordan Clearwater of all people. Yes. And we ended up tagging with Jordan Clearwater at Samhain in Cleveland. So that was an interesting dynamic. March the 2nd in Dothan, Alabama. I know there's tickets still available, but I also know that those tickets have gone super fast. And it's going to be at the Dothan Civic Center. And I've wrestled there. I couldn't tell you how many times.
Kind of a homecoming for you then, huh?
No, gosh, no, man. Alabama? Are you kidding me? Alabama? You're talking to a Tennessee guy and you're wanting to say Alabama? No, thank you.
I retract my statement, sir.
Yeah, please do.
Alabama and Tennessee, they couldn't even agree on the Southeast champion.
Oh, heck no, man.
I mean, they had their own Southeast champions.
You know, the sad thing is the same owner owned both territories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, he had two belts.
Yeah, well, there you go.
My buddy Ron Fuller. So, I mean, he owned that territory down there, and he owned the territory in Knoxville. So, he bought it from my grandfather back in 1974. So, man.
Well,
Is that the one they sold to Flair and Mulligan and then bought it back?
Fuller sold to Jim Barnett, who sold to Mulligan and Flair, and it died. And then Ron was in Alabama and down in Pensacola, and he decided he was coming back to Knoxville. So here comes Continental Championship Wrestling. That's when I got back involved with wrestling, because when I was in high school, right after the first of the year, my senior year, I was helping putting the rings up and all that stuff at that point. Amazing. They were the same rings I put together with my grandfather back 100 years before.
Wow.
They were the same rings. My granddad sold them to him. Yeah, it was a good time, man. That was a fun time, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, guys, March 2nd, Dothan, Alabama. Tomorrow night, we are in Kingsport, Tennessee, and we are going to tear the house down. And the only way that NWA JCP can, we're going to tear the house down. And I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times. We've got the best professional wrestling. And now we've got the best professional wrestling in the Southeast. You doubt us, you try us. So that's my motto. I've said it for a million years. And it used to be, the Tennessee Valley. Well, we're a little bit bigger than the Tennessee Valley now.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to earn our stripes in all these other places. And, so be it. So be it. Unfortunately, I have to go into areas that friends of mine actually, run shows in, and it's tough. It's tough, but that's my job. That's what I've got to do, and I'll do the best I can. If I got one person in the crowd or 100 people, it doesn't matter. We're going to have a hell of a show tomorrow night. So if any of the people that live close by are going to be there, that's on this thing right now, come out and support NWA JCP, because this is honestly, this is the future of wrestling. It's not necessarily my company. It's just the talent that's going to be there. If you get a chance to go see any of EC3 stuff up in Cleveland, Ohio, that's the future of professional wrestling. All these younger guys, give the independent, groups an opportunity, because that is your future.
Yeah.
That is the future of professional wrestling. There's a lot of great independents around this area. Innovate, you mentioned earlier, Tony Givens, Imperial Pro, Lou Freeman, KFW, who was my old friend Tommy Henry. Now it's the kids, Kylie and Kenzie Page. There's a lot of great professional wrestling in Tennessee in general. There's a lot of great professional wrestling all over this country. So if you're a fan, man, just don't think the WWE and AEW is all there is, because it's not, folks.
Nope.
It's not. The NWA is the greatest professional wrestling company on the face of God's green earth. And I'm like that guy you see on Facebook that sits at the table with his feet propped up. Changed my mind. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. People think I'm crazy. That's fine. Think I'm crazy. It doesn't matter. I'm an old man. I can afford to be crazy. So, but yeah, tomorrow night in Kingsport's going to be a great show. But if you're down in the Alabama area or anywhere close to Dothan, man, get yourselves out there to the Civic Center on March the 2nd, because you're going to see some of the best professional wrestling in the country. There's no doubt in my mind. When you've got EC3, you've got the gents there, you've got the fixers there. My God, Kenzie Page will be there. Kylie will be there. It's Trevor. Of course, Trevor will be there. Aaron Stevens is going to bring blunt force trauma. This is the doom of the millennium, man. These guys are really, really good. It's just a lot of great talent. Pollo Del Mar will be there, I'm sure, stirring up trouble as only Pollo can. So it's going to be a fun show. And by the way, I'd say Billy Corgan will probably be in Dothan too. So
that might be a safe bet.
Yeah, maybe. He may be there.
We were at hard times, but he wasn't.
Yeah, well, no, Billy will be there because the man believes in his company. The man believes in professional wrestling. He is a historian of this business, and he is he'll say it. He is the keeper. He is the keeper of the history, is what he is. He's the keeper of history. So get a chance, come out and have a good time, and always support your local wrestling company, guys. And I'll leave it at that. And I will bid my, as Aaron Stevens says, I will bid my adieu to you for now. And we will see you guys at some other point. So I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Thank you so much, Joe, and good luck tomorrow night. I
Thank
hope
you so much.
Kill it.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good evening. Get rid of that damn rain out there, would you?
Yeah, I would like that. Have a good one.
Hey,
Joe
Jay.
Cazana, everybody.
So about 2 hours ago, X Business announced that X and WWE have partnered to launch WWE Speed, a new weekly video series showcasing time matches featuring your favorite WWE superstars, distributed exclusively on X. Tune in for these fast-paced, action-packed face-offs coming in April. So X and the former Twitter and WWE have launched an agreement together.
X as in formerly known as Twitter X.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Wow. That's all right. All right. Okay. I think it just goes to show you that there is value on multiple platforms. WWE has proven it now with they have a live television program that'll be airing on USA on cable. Then they'll by next year they will have a live program that airs on network TV with the CW, and then they have the Netflix deal. On top of that, they also have now this new deal with X. But that's going to do it for us, guys. I think 2 hours is pretty good. I do want to thank Joe Cazana for being on the show with us tonight. If you haven't done so already, see that link below. It says Joe Cazana Promotions 5692. Go ahead and hit that link and smash the subscribe button. Make sure we get Joe Cazana and Joe Cazana Promotions to 1,000 subscribers. You guys know that that's how YouTubers make money. If they're over 1K on their subscribers, they get a lot more perks as being a content creator for YouTube, as well as not only being able to make money, but they also can change their name. So maybe we'll see a change of the name too for Joe Cazana Promotions on YouTube. Anyways, DKM, how can people follow you on the socials if you'd like to?
Get off mute. At DKMFWTX, don't annoy me.
Don't annoy him. And of course, you can follow me at the Alliance blog. If you've been paying attention, if you've been checking things out on our socials, we're getting a lot more active. You're seeing content from not just the NWA, not just United Wrestling Network, but wrestling all over the country. As last night I was in Arizona, DK. I was at the AEW event, and I even shared my thoughts on that on our podcast, the Alliance blog podcast, which you can find on Spotify or right here on YouTube. Just search for the Alliance blog. And guys, thanks so much for being here with us. That's going to do it for us. DKM, is there anything else you would like to add to this conversation?
Support good wrestling.
Support good wrestling, and we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.